Alright, hello citizens of the Nigerverse. It is Nigel here once again, and this is going to be another video game review. So right off the bat, I just did a test recording, so I wasn't able to hear it too much, but I do have my fan going once again, and so if you do manage to hear it in the background, I do apologize, but it is pretty warm, so have it going for the time being so that I can cool off. But enough of that. It's time, ladies and gentlemen, to step inside the courtroom one last time and join, at least for this trilogy, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But it's time to step inside the courtroom one last time for the time being and join everyone's favorite defense attorney, Phoenix Wright, for the final game in the original Ace Attorney trilogy, that being Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney, Trials and Tribulations. And Phoenix and friends definitely go through that, to be sure, or definitely lives up to the namesake in more ways than one. But as always, I'm not professional uh, video game reviewer, video game analyst, video game critic, or anything like that. Just a man who enjoys a good time, and I must say I definitely had a pretty good time with this game. Finishing off the trilogy was quite the treat. Of course, if you haven't seen my previous Phoenix Wright video game reviews, both the one for the first game and then the one for Justice for All, definitely feel free to check those out before watching this one, or if you want to check them out later, or if you don't want to check them out at all, that is totally fine. It's up to you. But it's time to finish off the trilogy. So how will Phoenix Wright defend his clients this time, and what new endeavors will be gotten up to? Let's find out now. Of course, if you've seen these reviews of mine before, especially the previous two Phoenix Wright games, as I mentioned, you kind of already know how this works. But if you haven't, I'm going to be talking about what I liked and disliked about the game, as well as providing a plot summary for the game. This is how it's laid out in the wiki, and it even says at the top, the events of Trials and Tribulations are told in a non-linear order. They are presented below chronologically, so we're going to go based off that. It's similar to the other games where you have 5 cases and you go through each case and everything, but the plot does jump around quite a bit. So technically, what we're starting off here with, because it's told chronologically, it's technically the 4th case in the game. They quite a few flashbacks here, much more than the previous games, but. Anyway, let's go through it. So we see Mia Fey in her first trial. So we actually technically get to play as Mia Fey. A a Technically, this game, the entire trilogy, has you playing as Phoenix Wright the least amount of time. Phoenix Wright is still very much present, but you do get to play as other characters, including a very big surprise later on. But here's where we're starting. So Mia Fey, in her first trial, is paired up with her co-counsel Diego Armando, from the defense office. She was supposed to have her mentor her with her, but instead Diego accompanies her. And they're tasked with defending death row inmate Terry Falls, who is being accused of murdering policewoman Valerie Hawthorne during an escape attempt. And so he was in prison, was on death row, and has escaped and is accused of killing Valerie Hawthorne. Mia manages to face a familiar foe for Phoenix, but also in his first case as prosecutor, Mr. Edgelord himself, Miles Edgeworth, or the very young Miles Edgeworth, who looks almost the same. He just has it on pretty much a different coat. Oh, and it's a different judge this time around. It's actually the main judge's brother, and he will make some appearances throughout this game. AKA pretty much a palette swap of the regular judge, just with actual hair and a very different looking beard, his hockey beard as he calls it, and he even calls Phoenix a hoser in this game later on, but. nevertheless, as we learn throughout the trial that 5 years earlier, Terry, Valerie, and her younger sister Dahlia stage a kidnapping attempt to steal a jewel from Valerie and Dahlia's father. Her and to keep the jewel for themselves, Dahlia and Valerie betrayed Terry. They stage a fake kidnapping on a bridge. But then they betray Terry by faking Dahlia's death so she can make off with the jewel. And Terry, unfortunately, he takes the blame. Is convicted for Dahlia's murder, which is how he's on death row in the first place. But then Terry escaped so that he can learn the truth from Valerie about why he was betrayed. And to the point where he asks her to meet up with him and wear a white scarf so that he can confront her, and so he knows it's her, so he can confront her about how, hey, why did you betray me 5 years ago? But then, uh, Valerie, he sends a letter to Dahlia, pretty much saying, "Hey, hey, Terry's about to confront me. I'm gonna spill everything. I'm gonna snitch on you, pretty much, because Dahlia is kind of the mastermind behind most of not everything. And Dahlia then kills Valerie so that she doesn't spill the truth, and we're getting close to officially clearing Terry, but something really tragic happens, and Terry, he consumes, because he's madly in love with Dahlia. He consumes a poison that she gave to him years earlier. Or we're going to learn that's a habit for Dahlia. He consumes it and he dies right there on the witness stand, which pretty much ends the trial without a resolution. And even for this game that was like really dark, which is crazy that they were willing to go there in terms of this case. But of course, Mia's very upset, uh, Diego reminds her that, hey, you can't you can't he can't cry until it's over, or you have to keep smiling and keep fighting your way through being a defense attorney. But afterwards, hurts Dahlia, then poisons and Diego. After her, he was essentially onto her. Like he meets with her and everything, and she poisons his coffee. Which coffee and Diego are going to go together quite a bit, as you're going to learn. But she poisons Diego, and he pretty much goes into a coma. So he misses quite a bit. And she then begins dating a university student by the name of Phoenix Wright. Yeah, yeah. So that's how Phoenix and becomes involved with Dahlia Hawthorne, and that actually leads us to the first trial of the game that we start off with Mia defending Phoenix when he's being accused of killing uh, when he's being accused of killing fellow students and Doug Swallow. Mia manages to expose that Dahlia killed killed Swallow at least. He's and exposing him and exposing her, I should say, for poisoning Diego. But it turns out she was also planning to kill Phoenix. Uh, as well. How she can get back the necklace that she gave him, and because that necklace contained the poison, essentially the evidence that she used to poison Diego. So Dahlia is arrested, convicted, sentenced to death. She actually stays on death row for a while before being killed. Well, that's going to be important for later. But even despite this, Phoenix still believes that Dahlia is innocent and still pretty much has a very strong feelings towards her. Uh, excuse me, has pretty strong feelings towards her. So, even in knowing that she tried to kill him, Phoenix still very madly in love with Dahlia, which is something that's going to come up later. as we'll see. But jumping forward to 5 years later, and her Mia is dead. And of course, if you remember, she dies in the first game. And so Phoenix, of course, is the defense attorney, and it's pretty much mainly inspired. Um, I'll say mostly inspired by this game and his past with Edgeworth, but that was covered in previous games to become a defense attorney. And of course, he was Mia's protege, and of course, Mia still comes to him from time to time by being channeled, well, usually through Maya and also through Pearls, which aka Profe, but nevertheless, we jump to present day, where Phoenix is defending Ron DeLite, who is being accused of theft, which at first it gives a false sense of security that, hey, it's not a murder case for once, but as we'll see, this case turns out to be a murder case. But Phoenix is defending Ron DeLite, who is being accused of being the thief masked to mask. Yes, that's the actual name. It has a star in between it. It's it's a stage name, but Phoenix now has to go against a new prosecutor. It is cool that Phoenix gets a new prosecutor to face off against every game. The first game it was Miles Edgeworth. The next game it was Francisca de Karma, or Francisca von Karma, I should say. And now this game it's the mysterious Godot, who drinks a lot of coffee. He and I guess as a bit of a tangent, and I was going to save this for later, but I might as well bring it up now. 17 cups of coffee? 17 cups of coffee. Godot pretty much drinks, and I might, and maybe mispronouncing that, but Godot drinks 17 cups of coffee per case. He states it himself, and by the time the 17th cup is finished, that's usually when the trial is over. But 17 cups of coffee, my God, that is a lot of coffee. But we'll find out why Godot drinks all that coffee later on. But Phoenix manages to prove that the new private detective Luke Atme, yes, that's the actual name. Of course, Phoenix Wright known for the pun names, but Luke Atme is the real Mask to Mask. Ask unfor- Unfortunately, it springs a trap card in a way. A Godot who then set and proves that Ron was not there to steal the artifact that was stolen, but instead he was busy at his old job, being a security guard, murdering his former boss Kane Bullard. So Phoenix clears Ron of one crime, but then and subsequently accidentally gets his client wrapped up in another crime. But Phoenix does manage to piece together and pretty much show that Luke Atme was Bullard's murder, or her and he was trying to use double jeopardy to escape punishment and pretty much try to frame Ron for the theft, or more so the murder. But Luke Atme, he turns out had both committed the theft and or at least hid the artifact and actually committed the murder. Or it turns out he pre-recorded himself stealing the artifact, um, as Phoenix managed to get his client freed, he'd and so we then move that's case two. We then move on to case three, where Phoenix is told that he supposedly Phoenix Wright failed to defend his former client Maggie Bird, heard against accusations of poisoning the programmer Glenn Elg. Which true to the pun name is actually just the word Glenn and spelled backwards and forwards. I forget the exact name of it. It's where the name is or the word is kind of the same backwards and forwards. Palindrome, I believe it is. I'm actually gonna look that up, but nevertheless, as Phoenix Hicks learns that he somehow, accidentally, he, he failed to defend Maggie, so he pretty much has to undo. Yeah, palindrome. The same forwards backwards, but Phoenix has to then prove Maggie's innocence and figure out who impersonated him, and throughout his own investigation, of course, Phoenix gets the retrial, discovers that Elg was developing a computer virus is on behalf of the loan shark Furio Tigre, a who bears a resemblance to Phoenix Wright in a way. Hey, first of all, I'm pretty sure you can see where this is going, but also, literally the joke, is that Furio Tigre literally looks nothing like Phoenix Wright, except for the spiky hair. Or otherwise, Furio Tigre is orange like a tiger, or wears like fancy shirts, and has a fake defense attorney badge, but nevertheless, as he manages to deduce and prove that Tigre killed El so he can steal the virus for himself, so that he can repay a large debt to a mob boss. Which he got that debt by accidentally running into and injuring the mob boss's daughter, who now works as Tigre's assistant. But Phoenix manages to prove all that is, and Tigre, with probably one of the best breakdowns, pretty much going full animalistic, full tiger mode, which he also does throughout the entire case. He's very aggressive and everything, even scaring the judge. Uh, but uh, but he proves that Tigre actually killed he actually was the one who killed Glenn Elg, that is, and uh framed Phoenix, right, or impersonated Phoenix, right, so they can frame Maggie. But Phoenix Wright manages to do this is and prove Tigre's guilt in probably the most clutch way possible. Where at the last possible moment he gets Tigre to who accidentally admits it's the bottle of poison that was used, who's which is not hot which is not the actual bottle. So Phoenix has the bottle with him, but Tigre manages to accidentally slip up and reveal where the actual poison is and what the actual poison was. So he manages to get there, and then in the final case, because remember the fourth case is the beginning with Mia and Dahlia and Terry, in the final case, and this is really where things get super interesting. Like, the other cases are usually fun, but the last case is usually where issue really goes down. But in the last case, Phoenix goes to a a channeling mountain retreat with both Maya and Pearl, and is to help with his their spirit channeling and everything, and something similar to that. But while there, a murder happens. Elise, Dunim, I believe this sounds pronounced. Man, Elise Dunim is murdered. While Phoenix is going to look for Maya, he accidentally falls off a bridge. Falls through the bridge, into the water below. Which the bridge is struck by lightning, so it's burned, so it gives way, and Phoenix falls into the river below, somehow managing to survive. But while he's out, Edgeworth steps in. Yes, you actually get to play as Miles Edgeworth, which when that first happened, I was shook in like the best possible way. I was like, yes, let's freaking go. But Edgeworth is here, uh conducts his own investigation where he has to defend Iris, who uh, uh, who is one of the nuns one of the nuns at the at the temple. Where Maya and Pearl. She's the defendant in this case because the head nun, Sister Bikini, as she calls herself, witnessed Iris killing Elise. So Edgeworth is defending her while Phoenix recovers, and then but Phoenix will be back soon. But yeah, so Edgeworth is forced to be a defense attorney like he wanted to be when he was younger, before obviously being recruited by Von Karma and what happened to him and everything, and losing his father and everything. So now Edgeworth technically gets to fill the shoes and fulfill the destiny he was supposed to have in the first place, arguably. But nevertheless, it's also worth mentioning Iris looks a lot like Dahlia. Looks very very similar to Dahlia Hawthorne. I'm pretty sure. Again, I'm pretty sure you know where this is going. But nevertheless, as during the first day of the case and everything, and it's determined that that wasn't actually the murder spots, and that wasn't actually the murder weapon where Sister Bikini saw everything. So now we gotta figure out what's really going on. Phoenix comes back. He discovers that Lise was actually Misty Faye, who is Maya's long lost mother, her and Mia's long lost mother, and her being killed was the result of a plan and by Morgan Fay, who you may remember from the previous game, which is Pearl's mother. It was part of a plan to kill Maya, so that Pearl can pretty much become the Faye family head channeler. I forget the exact name of the term, but she also has help from the deceased Dahlia, who is being channeled, and is revealed that Dahlia is Iris's twin sister. Or yeah, so that's Morgan's daughter, Iris's twin sister, and thus Pearl's half sister. But Phoenix manages, through his cross examination and everything, manages to figure out that not only is Dahlia impersonating Iris, but that she's using Maya's body to be channeled to do so. And with the help of Mia, who goes into Pearl's body. If it was creepy in the first game, it's even more creepy in the second game. Whenever Maya channels Pearl's, only because she's very very young, and that is something I am not touching with a 10-foot pole. But at least the commentary on that. But nevertheless, they managed to exorcise Dahlia, and she goes back to the underworld, hell, what have you, where she rightfully belongs, because we'll get to it. But Dahlia is exorcised from Maya, so she leaves Maya's body, and pretty much gets roasted by Mia. But we'll get to that. But then Maya is still forced to testify because Iris is technically not off the hook yet. But Phoenix finally figures out that Godot was the one who killed Misty. He who was channeling Dahlia in order to protect Maya, and that Godot really is Diego Armando, who was formerly Mia's assistant and her boyfriend at one time. I forgot to mention that. But Godot is revealed to be Diego, and the one who killed Misty. He and he pretty much has had it out for Phoenix this entire time. So what happened to Diego / Godot was that after he got into his coma by ingesting the poison, then he was awoken from the smell of the doctor's coffee, which brought him back to life, and is why he loves coffee so much. and has pretty much vowed to get back at Phoenix ever since, because he blames Phoenix for the death of Mia because he failed to protect her. But after their cases battling one another, he definitely admits that Phoenix is a very worthy successor. He sees Mia and Phoenix literally side by side, like sees Mia's spirit right next to Phoenix, admits that he's been kind of deflecting blame and, excuse me, and trying to find someone to blame for her and Mia's death and everything that happened. And you do kind of feel for him. And like, he was out for 5 years, and in that 5 years so much happened. But nevertheless, as Maya is cleared, Iris his did help drag Missy's body. He uh so she was uh so she was an accomplice working with her sister to hide Misty's body and stage a fake murder, and kind of in a way take the fall. All she used the Shatisto, aka like the giant sword that's held by the spirit or held by the statue of the spirit of Mystic Misty, I believe, to who stabbed Missy herself, which is kind of ironic. Like, but Iris also does reveal that she did pose as Dahlia and was the one Phoenix dated in college, and that Iris tried to protect Phoenix from her sister. Or so Phoenix really, in a way, didn't really date Dahlia. He dated Iris. He did meet Dahlia, course, and that's how the relationship began. But he did technically date Iris, so it's kind of weird. But at the same time, at the same time, Dahlia does hate Phoenix's guts, so that sucks. But nevertheless, everybody happy essentially. And then and and uh and everybody celebrates it's Maya, Pearl, whole Gumshoe is here again, and Von Karma, Edgeworth, all of them to celebrate as the game ends. So quite the wild ride when it comes to this game. So in terms of what I liked and disliked about the game, starting with what I liked, not too much changes from the previous game, which means nothing really changed from the first game. So, all the mechanics are the same, pretty much. That's just the second game introduced the Magmata, which allows you to break the Cyclops and get more information and pretty much expose people for lying. Imagine if you had something like that in real time, but then, and this game doesn't really introduce anything new, so it's kind of the same gameplay from the previous game. So, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, because the gameplay is still relatively fun, pretty much following that same visual novel style where it's mostly about the plot and the gameplay is kind of secondary. So because of that, I can't really harp on it too much. But now getting to the story of the game, it kind of has what made the previous two games pretty fun and pretty engaging in terms of story. It has its funny moments, it has its emotional moment, and as well. Godot and his arc, or Godot, however it's truly pronounced, but maybe I'll find out once I finally get around to watching the Ace Attorney anime, which is on Crunchyroll. So, I'm probably going to be occupied with that coming up soon. But Godot, such an interesting character, or seeing his mystery, and then you find out exactly who it is they kind of take well, actually, I'll get into it because it's kind of one of my dislikes, but seeing his arc through the game for the most part is really cool, and like I said, I do like how it's a new prosecutor every time, even though Edgeworth and Von Karma do show up in this game. But Godot is mysterious enough and speaks a lot of riddles, which kind of makes him a very interesting character. And it's a character you do want to beat. Of course, you want to be the hero, you want to be Phoenix, right? You want to believe in your clients and everything. But he's also very engaging in terms of character, and his theme music, a lot of people has pointed out, is very nice. It's very good, but also very tragic once you learn what truly happens to him. And so you kind of do feel for him, even though he turned out to be a murderer. and kind of keeping the theme of coffee consistent throughout his character is really cool as well. But 17 cups of it per case is, my goodness, that is excessive. And now, look, I love coffee, right? I absolutely adore coffee. Coffee is delicious. I've even drunk a coffee on System Shock Radio before, but that was way back when. But 17 cups of it, and it turns out he has 17 cups with breakfast as well. That's 34 cups per day for like the trials and everything. Diego, are you sure? Are you sure it was the poison that caused you to lose your eyesight? That's another part of the character, which I actually forgot to mention, is Godot. His vision is very messed up, and so he does wear the helmet with like the cool little lights, which turns out do glow in the dark, which also ends up being his downfall. In the last case, when it's revealed he's the one who killed Misty, because she was going to kill Maya. But yeah, I would not have 34 cups in a day. Hey, I think the most I drink is like maybe one or two per day. Hey, and sometimes I even go without coffee. Like, I love coffee, but man, I do not love coffee that much. But even his like metaphors and references to coffee, which it is worth noting, after the last case, he says the last cup of coffee he drank, which he actually shares a cup with Phoenix, says it's the best coffee he's ever had now that he sees Phoenix as the worthy successor. Or so Godot's mannerisms and how he is as a person, and was really cool, really endearing to see. And he is pretty funny, especially when he like launches the cups of coffee at Phoenix. But yeah, so Godot is pretty engaging in terms of a prosecutor. In terms of the ranking, where I rank Edgeworth, Von Karma, and Godot in terms of the main the main prosecutors. Uh, I'm not counting the tutorial prosecutor, which admittedly, yeah, I'm kind of trying to fake it, but I can't. His name's escaping me at the moment, unfortunately. He, but in terms of prosecutors, there's I don't know. It's actually kind of hard to rank. Hang now that I think about it, I think I might go. I think I might go Edgeworth, then Godot, then Von Karma, maybe. But admittedly, that's kind of I might have to put some more thought into it, and maybe I'll do it as a separate video. Oh, if you guys really want to see that, please let me know. But yeah, so Godot, there. Otherwise, has a lot of the stuff that works they carry over from the previous games, which is good to see. And to see how things wrap up in a bow. And I do like how, compared to the other games, which the other games had a level of this as well. Oh, but especially in this game, and all the cases really feel connected in one way or another. Except for like, excuse me, except for like the murder at Trace Gwinnett. It's which I haven't commented on John Armstrong, and I'm really not going to. All I'll say is it was kind of a different time back then. But aside from that and the mask to mask case, to see the cases really connected, like directly connected, it was really cool to see. It adds really that uh had really adds that sense of continuity to everything. And whereas the previous games, the cases were connected in a way, but they were connected a bit more loosely up until like the last case. But we see them connected a lot more definitively in this game, which is really good to see. Yeah, I know a lot of people don't really like this game as much as the other games, and I kind of understand that. But at the same time, I'm uh, I'm it was really cool to see how things were connected in terms of that. Seeing Edgeworth's kind of arc going from kind of being very much at odds to Phoenix to respecting him a lot more, than to even stepping into him, and you see really how their friendship evolves. I think was really cool. In the game, and so seeing Edgeworth's arc from within the games was really cool as well. Even Karma had a little bit of an arc. She's not. as aggressive as she was in this in the previous game, that being Justice for All. She's a bit more sweet this time around, which is really nice to see. But seeing how everything unfolds and stuff like that was really cool to see. Like, hey, they carry over stuff from the previous games. I know I've said that a lot, but that's kind of the main theme for this game is carrying over stuff from the other games, but really adding to it, really improving upon it in a way as well. So that's really cool to see. In terms of what I didn't quite like as much about this game, and also something else I liked, of course, the music. Hey, the music is still very nice this time around. We have new themes for like the cross examinations uh and the and when you have them like cornered where you're getting closer to solving everything. Admittedly, don't quite like them as much as the other games. That's kind of just a personal preference from me, but they're still really good. But in terms of what I didn't quite like about the game is that at the end, and especially the last case, when it comes to who Godot really is like they kind of you kind of notice throughout the game they take kind of the breadcrumbs approach to it, where little by little, like, okay, this guy has a grudge with Phoenix Wright. Okay, this Diego guy looks kind of like Godot a little bit. And oh, okay, now the last case, everything is revealed. But they do kind of hit you with it a lot at once. It's stuff where you're supposed to kind of connect the dots, but they kind of hit you with it kind of all at once. And Godot being the killer kind of comes a little bit out of nowhere. Where it's kind of supposed to be, you can tell it's kind of supposed to be one of those oh moments, especially when they reveal that Godot wasn't actually out like they said he was. He wasn't actually in a different country like they say he was, but he was actually at the mountain, ready to defend Maya and help her out. But but um but I feel like it was a bit. It did kind of come almost a little bit out of nowhere, or at least for me. Maybe that's more of an indictment on me, and I'm fully okay with that. And I know I'm not always the sharpest tool in the shed, um, but yeah. So there was that aspect that kind of took you out of it a little bit. Is but otherwise, still really great game, really great way to end off the trilogy, and I'm glad I finally got around to playing this trilogy. But that's going to do it for this review. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please do me a favor: like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, turn on those post notifications so you know every time I upload a video, so you never miss an upload. And let me know in the comment section below what are your thoughts on this game, my review of the game. Do you like the game? Do you dislike my review of the game? Let me know. And what is your favorite game in the original Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney trilogy? Excuse me. And I'm thinking about continuing things with Apollo Justice and later on the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles, but that is something for another time. But in the meantime, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Peace. Okay, so I was content on just ending the review there. But great googly moogly, there was a lot I missed. Yes, there's a lot we still have to talk about. 30 plus minutes, almost 40 minutes of initial recording, and there's still so much I missed. So, let's go through everything I missed. For starters, I want to talk more about Dahlia's character, because I didn't really do that. Forget Mariah May in AEW. Dahlia Hawthorne is the real woman from hell. She is absolutely evil. Like, all the stuff she tries to do in this game, almost murdering Phoenix, pretty much murdering her own sister, or trying to pin her own twin sister from covering up the murder, or trying to kill Maya. Dahlia is just evil to the core. How could something so sweet and so beautiful turn out to be so evil? And I get it. That's kind of the oxymoron. That's kind of the whole point. But man, she is. But it does make her a very kind of interesting, compelling villain, and you want to root for her downfall so much. Much like when Maya roasts her, saying that Dahlia can't do anything right and she really be evil properly. It is so well deserved and so justified. The second thing I wanted to bring up is Victor Kudo from the third case. The old man who was the witness, who they staged the murder for, so that Furio Tigre could get away with killing Glenn Elg, and that Maggie could be framed for it. Man, I really hate this guy. Like, look, respect your elders, but this guy being an annoying, pervy old man, and even more so than Roshi, which it's no offense to my Dragon Ball Z fans, and Roshi, I'm sure is a very good guy. I've never actually really watched Dragon Ball Z, but I'm sure Roshi's a very good guy compared to Victor Kudo. Man, I didn't like him. Like, I know we technically had to offer him an apology because he testified what he witnessed, and we poked holes through it, even though that's exactly what he witnessed because the initial murder of Glenn Elg was staged. But no, I'm not apologizing. Screw that guy. And in a way, screw Larry Butts. If it smells, it must be the Butts. But now, Larry Butts kind of comes through in the end, and we see him at first being a security guard alongside Mask the Mask, or the person who we suspect to be Mask that being, or that they suspect to be Mask that being Rhonda Light, but I get Rhonda Light, Mask to Mask. Clever. But but he is kind of annoying in this game. At least in like the last couple games, it was more endearing. Here, it's kind of annoying. Not even gonna talk about some of the other comments that were made by Larry, but he did capture what he thought was Iris flying, which cool, but yeah, yeah. I almost said Luke. Larry, he is kind of did kind of wear on me throughout the course of this game. So it was pretty annoying there. The other thing was that they kind of explore more of uh Oregon and her trying to take down Misty, and they kind of explore that dynamic. I think adding that layer to everything was pretty nice, and a nice touch to add more add more depth to the character and everything for the game. So I think that was a very nice touch. But touch, and I think that was just about everything else in terms of story that I need to cover. Yeah, yeah. I hope I got everything this time. Hopefully there's not too much more that I missed. Yes, I do like the references to Wendy Oldbag from the second game, more specifically from the second game with like her astronaut helmet and stuff like that. That stuff is pretty cool. But so I'll end off with this. The last thing I want to do before we officially close out this video. This is for you, Godot. Not the best cup of coffee I've ever tasted in my life. It's not to that level, but it is pretty damn good. All right, hey, that is going to do it. Sorry I missed so much, and truth be told, there's probably still stuff I'm missing. If I am, I do apologize. As I could blame the wiki for not including every single thing, but uh, you know what? Only a poor craftsman blames his tools. Well, but thanks for watching. I'll see you guys later. Peace. There, there's one more thing. I promise I usually don't do this. If you're watching this for the first time, I promise I usually don't do this. I usually kick myself for the stuff I forget afterwards. But I have to acknowledge the goggles more for Godot. The fact that because his eyesight is messed up, he can't see the color red, which is a crucial part of the story. It's how he misses the blood on Maggie Bird's apron, and during the third case, it's how he misses the blood in the snow, and the word Maya being written by the dying Misty Faye in the in the fifth and final case. So Godot not being able to see the color red is very much another part of the character. And the fact that at the end he pretty much cries blood because he can't probably cry tears because his eyes are so messed up. So Oh, that was also incredibly sad as well. Just everything about the characters. It's so much. They do throw a lot at you to the point where I'm forgetting stuff. Although I was probably gonna forget that. I was probably gonna do that anyway. I should say. But yeah. Hopefully that's the last one. Hopefully I really didn't forget anything else. Like I said, usually don't do this. Now we're done. Thank you all so much for watching. See you guys later. Peace.